Hey Kyle, it's Margaret, and this is about Not Your Turn to Burn and our legislative, which is Portable Fuel Container Safety Act. Thank you so much for helping me before. You helped me on a video and we got about 400 views, which is huge. I'm grateful. Today we're going to talk about an update on what's going on. We've got our bill that's been in markup in our subcommittee today, and we're just going to go over this a little bit for people that are interested. This is about HR 806. The Portable Fuel Container Safety Act, which is in the subcommittee on consumer protection and consumer safety. Today they had this subcommittee meeting. Let's talk a little bit about what took place today, because I think it's pretty cool. Oops, I don't want to do that. This is actually what our bill's about. Portable Fuel Container Safety Act of 2019, introduced by Representatives Mike Thompson of California and David Joyce of Ohio. Love these two. They've done this. Congressman Joyce has done it 2 Congresses. Mike Thompson started this 3. So we started with the 114th Congress. So really just want people to know this is not recent. We started it in 2016. We had a new Congress in 2017, another new one in 2019. But HR 806 further directs the Consumer Product Safety Commission to conduct an education campaign to alert consumers to the dangers of using or storing portable fuel containers near ignition sources and to report to Congress on the campaign. The bill also amends the Children's Gasoline Burn Prevention Act to expand existing child resistance requirements for closures of portable gasoline containers to include portable kerosene, diesel, and other component parts. So let's just remember that's pretty much what's different here. I want to go to the exact wording because Kyle, this is where you and I have been going over what's this really mean. So portable fuel containers as defined. So this is any container and vessel, including the spout, a retrofit, a cap, or other closing mechanism or component of such containers or vessels. It's intended for liquid fuels, including gasoline, kerosene, diesel, ethanol, methanol, denatured alcohol, biofuels, or liquids with a flash point of less than 140 degrees Fahrenheit. This is true consumer safety. Yeah, this is.
At least in terms of ethanol, methanol, these are things that we see in classrooms. That's going to be a big help to keeping students safe. And
yeah, you're great at this because you know what, Kyle, everybody loves. Now you get to see Kyle's face. Kyle's an intern. He came right out of high school. He started before he went off to college. He's an engineering student. He is, do you want to name where you're in college?
Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo.
We love our math science kids around here. And we have, what would you say, 8, 10 different interns in a summer? Give or take.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, last summer it was probably more than that. This is where we really wanted people's attention. We're not warning the high school teachers. Kyle and I got talking about this because there was a horrific injury in New York. And we want to make sure that the science teachers know this isn't currently in their safety curriculum. How do we know this?
Well, because as a previous high school student, I had a chemistry class, and I remember our curriculum for safety in the first week of school. And I distinctly remember after coming here and learning about all this, we didn't learn about any of that when I was in high school. And so I talked to a couple of other high school teachers, chemistry teachers, just to confirm, do they talk about flame arresters or the dangers of these flammable liquids? And they don't talk about it at all.
They're not being warned. The teachers don't know, so we got to teach the teachers. And then you've also been through some of the safety things at the start of the year. Talk about what happens at the beginning of the school year.
Well, at the beginning of, for me, when I was in high school, we had a little, like, 1 week long safety briefing where he'd give us a list of all the things that can go wrong in a classroom and like how we would proceed with dealing with those situations.
Yeah, like a fire drill. We want to make sure people know what to do in the event of fire.
Like if you get chemicals in your eyes, you go to the shower.
Eye washes, you know, all the different safety mechanisms. But really today, we're going to focus in on what we think needs to be better educated, and that is the container opening. So if we take, for instance, this could be in a science class, it's just a normal reagent. If you look, see how this is open? It's an open container. There's no safety barrier there. Now imagine if this looked more like this container. This is from a fireplace fuel. And here's another one. This is a plastic one. So a flame arrestor can be one of these out of plastic or out of metal. It's just anything that the flame will stop a vapor that ignites. Vapor is just invisible fuel. If that vapor stream gets ignited, it's going to suck back into the opening of the container. The liquid inside of it will catch fire, it will ignite. It pushes, the pressurization will shove all the flaming liquid out of the container, or worse, the containers just explode. This happens in a microsecond. Nobody really knows. Thank goodness we've got science research labs and people like ATF that's done a lot of research on this to slow the camera down and show us frame by frame. You can go to our website if you want to see what happens frame by frame. Our website is notyourturntoburn.com. But the thing that's great about having Kyle, you represent the youth of America that want to become better educated on the science, technology, engineering. You know how hard it is to pass physics and chemistry, SATs. I mean, this is hard enough.
High school students, they have a lot on their plate, and like between SATs, sports, and then just basic trying to get into college, like
you spent 13 years preparing for that one task. Do you think it's fair for kids to even have a risk when it's so preventable?
No, kids should not be at risk. They have so much to deal with already that they shouldn't have to worry about this.
Exactly. So we want to make sure people know about flame arresters. We're going to focus in on the science classroom, but I did want to say, listen, gas cans, No Spill is one company. I like these guys. They were the first ones to really get behind all this initiative. They've got a flame arrestor that's made out of plastic in it. These can be made out of plastic or metal. Flame arrestor, the material itself doesn't matter. These go equally into plastic, glass, or metal containers. Again, the container itself doesn't matter. There are flame arrestor standards that are written, the textbooks on it. So sticking to our science classrooms, how are we going to educate teachers? Because teachers should teach, kids should learn, not burn. So that's not my wording. Thank you, ATF and Andy Minister, for science classrooms. You guys work with the Chemical Safety Board. We want to get the word out. We want to make sure people know these flame flashback explosion injuries are happening all the time. There's a couple hundred of these injuries a year in classrooms. That's on the conservative side because nobody has to actually report these issues. Please keep this in mind. OSHA standard will protect the teacher. This is what throws Kyle and other young students. OSHA does not protect the students. Nobody's there to step in and say, hey, students need to have flame arresters on all containers used in classrooms. Teachers, where's the teachers union? We want your help. We want the National Science Teachers Associations. We want all of you to help us help you. We want to protect teachers. We want better education. We think that the only way to learn science is to do live experiments done correctly. We don't want people trying to learn by video. I'm told from talking to teachers' assistants at the college level, when freshmen come in and they've only done video, it's actually a real tough time in the readout process because a lot of these basic chemistry classes are real readout classes. They don't have time to go backwards and teach you what you really should have already been exposed to. So what's not fair is we're not preparing students well if they've only learned it by video. It's not the same as when you see it, touch it, feel it. That's why we use the scientific method. We've got to look at things. So we want them to be able to use all the different science equipment safely. We want to make sure that people know, hey, listen, we want any of the container openings to have a flame arrestor on it. So any type, whether it's a pint, a quart, a gallon, all of these should have a flame arrestor on it. Let's teach the teachers how to keep their classrooms safe.
So if you would scroll up to this part of the bill, another part of the bill is the education campaign, which states that no later than 1 year after the date of enactment of this act, the Commission shall undertake a campaign to educate consumers about the dangers associated with using or storing portable fuel containers for flammable liquids near an open flame or any other source of ignition. I think part of this education campaign should be talking to the teachers, telling them that they need to include this in their curriculum. To all the high school teachers I've spoken to, they don't talk about this in their curriculum. I think it needs to be in there. And students, they need to learn stop, check, and protect. If you see a teacher about to pour a flammable liquid anywhere near an open source, tell them to stop, check for a flame arrestor, and then protect their students.
It's really that simple. This is what the safety campaign is going to be about. We're starting it today. We need your help. We know our biggest thing that Kyle and I have spent some time talking about is, the academic school year around the country really begins now. Teachers are planning their first week curriculum. They already are thinking about what's going into it. This is not written into the curriculum. So we kind of need a real step up on this. And the only way we're going to do it is if you will kindly bring this to the attention of any science teachers, any high school teachers that are doing demonstrations, but even outside the classroom. This has been happening at Discovery Museum in Reno, Nevada. In Texas, 12 preschoolers were watching a demonstration. There's been countless examples in after-school activities or social gatherings. So let's be careful about this. We want to bring it to the attention of the Boy Scouts. We want to bring it to attention to the church social. When they're using a chafing dish and they go to reheat or refuel a chafing dish, that process can have the same thing. So stop, check, and protect. We're focusing in on the classrooms, but these are consumer products that are used anytime you use any flammable liquids for heating, lighting, cooking. It could also be used as, sometimes you're using a flammable liquid in other means. I'm trying to think about things like
Barbecue.
Barbecue is a great example. Barbecue, let's talk about that's a great one. When you see lighter fluid, please open up the lid of a lighter fluid. If you see one big hole, not safe. Get rid of that one. It costs $3, replace it. If you see 3 tiny holes in the opening, so if you open up one of these containers and you look inside there and there's 3 tiny holes together, that's effectively a flame arrestor. So please know, 3 holes, happy smiley face, that's safe. We may actually put together some logos on this. Like, we want your feedback. Give us some comments. What do you think we can do to get the word out? Because Kyle is really helping me to take the lead, and thank you to everybody that gave us feedback. Everybody liked hearing his voice. They wanted to see him on camera. Yeah. Sharp guy. He represents the next generation of engineers. And so what else can you say to science kids so that they know how to talk to the teachers? Because I think that, how do I get the science students? How do I get, this effective? Because it's not about how we say it. It's just we got to get the message out. How do we best do that?
Well, I think first, like I said earlier, with the stop, check, and protect, that should be part of the curriculum, like in every high school, right?
Yes.
And I believe that it should just become common knowledge amongst high school students to the point where they don't even have to think about it anymore.
That's great. You know what? Fire safety, anybody that's got around fire safety programs, so high school kids should know. If you know where the fire extinguisher is, you should know about how to handle a situation that goes awry. But to your great point, if we do a fire drill, let's think about this for a second. When you go into a science classroom, do they show you where the fire extinguisher is?
Yes.
Great. Do they show you how to work it?
No.
Okay. Do they show you where the eye wash is?
Yes.
Do they show you how to work it?
Yes.
Great. Let's make sure that they're also stopping, exactly as you said. Stop, check, and protect. We know from talking to firefighters, they like this approach. It's proactive. It's showing you what you can do. The best way to stop these injuries is to prevent them from ever occurring.
Exactly.
These flame arresters are such a great standard that there's not a chance anybody in an ocean environment would ever be allowed to use a product that doesn't have it. So the science teachers should actually have flame arresters on the products to keep the teachers safe. That's not currently in there, so we need to close that gap, and we need you to communicate back. I'm sure this can be done really fast because I've been in touch with a lot of different companies. I've been on the standards committee that's been fighting for this for 3 years. We're sticking to common sense. We've got 200 years of proven experience with these. Here's the great point. Never when one of these is on there have we ever had one of these burn explosions. Ever. 200 years, nobody's been able to produce a documented case to CPSC, ATF, or any of the other league of government agencies that we've been in touch with and organizations. So please know, there's never been a problem when we get the flame arrestor on there. The fact that it's voluntary is a problem, and the fact that the public's not being made aware of it. So you're going to help me to get the word out to the science students. Stop, check, protect. We're also going to have to figure out, we need your help. How do we get this to circulate? I don't know how to do this. I'm old enough to just say, I need smarter people to help. I can only do the parts that I can do, And, how do we get more science kids involved?
Well, just this morning, HR 806, we already saw it. It was passed in subcommittee, so now it's going to be sent to the full committee. We need people to talk to their local congressmen. We need to get the word out. Like, something that was heavily promoted in my AP Gov class was just talking to your local congressman, getting in touch so that they know what the people want.
So we don't want people burned.
Mm-hmm.
These are horrific injuries. These are gruesome and painful. We all have a primal fear of being burned. First thing we learn as little kids, hot, don't touch, ouch, right? Let's stop burn injuries as much as we can, and let's just be safety conscious. This is about having situational awareness. If you're near flammable liquids, look for the safety guard. Get rid of the product, throw it away, it's time to replace it. If you've got an old gas can and you open up the lid to the gas can and you don't see one of these kind of filtering mechanisms in there, a little piece of screening, whether it's made of plastic or metal, we just need that barrier. That barrier is an arrestor. It will stop the whole explosion process. It can flash back to that, it stops it here, it doesn't allow it inside the container, which is where all the real combustion or propagation happens. And unfortunately, we're not training people to look for this. I grew up in the 70s and 80s and 60s, and what's great is all of us had our first job as mowing lawns. So we all knew our gas cans always had a little metal flame arrestor in them. Well, those used to be in the consumer ones. They've actually taken that out, and this is where the problem came about. So what we want to do is get you to pay attention. Make sure the one in your garage you've checked for. Don't think if you bought your gas can in the last 5 or 10 years or 6 months ago that it's going to be safe. You really need to check for this. If you're not seeing it in the opening, it's time to get rid of it. So I'm going to show you again. What I mean is if you take just a regular gas can, if you open up and if you look in there, if you see right down into the opening, this is an unsafe opening. If you open it up and you look down in there where you put the nozzle and you see something in there like this, that's safe. So it's really check for that barrier protection, and let's make sure that we're not having so many people ending up in burn units. And I've just got to give a really grateful, heartfelt thank you to everybody in this community of survivors, preventers, smart people, advocates, protectors, logical thinkers, and a lot of common sense people. And then one other small thing for me, at least this is for me, it's important, maybe not for you. I want to go to, sorry about that. I want to go to the full committee for a second. I want to show something. Just in case everybody didn't catch this, I have to give a real grateful shout out on this. I'm a mom, I've raised my kids, I'm grateful to see this is bipartisan. This is Republicans and Democrats working together. Please notice we've got a chairwoman here and a ranking chairwoman. These two ladies, I just got to call them out. I'm going to say, Jan Schakowsky, the day you met me, you immediately took on consumer protection and let me know how committed you were. And I will never forget just walking down the hall one day how you saw me and greeted me. So your awareness to this situation is remarkable. Kathy McMorris-Rogers, I really respect and appreciate. I cannot get over how nice your staff has been. Everybody's been thorough. We've been able to bridge gaps. We've been able to merge to the center to get this to move along. Please notice we've got a lot of smart women here. And I just have to say, sometimes I'm grateful to see our government working. A lot of smart men. I'm in no way disrespecting men. I love men. I have an amazing husband. Please know I am grateful to see this kind of work in our government finally. So please pay attention to who's on the bill, who the co-sponsors are. We only have about 50 co-sponsors. We're moving forward. We're going to head to the Senate side. We need all the AP government kids. High school teachers could be taking this on for their own high school to be working legislation locally, and we could get this bill fixed. We could solve this problem. The Senate version of the exact same thing, I'll just tell you, it's Senate Bill 1640, and it's also called the Portable Fuel Container Safety Act of 2019. So I want to give a shout out to presidential hopeful Amy Klobuchar. Amy's from Minnesota. She is the one that dropped this bill, and Jerry Moran. Jerry is just a really sharp, smart senator. I mean, these two senators have been awesome. So I'm grateful that we've got two very good leads. And again, to wrap it up and put a bow on it, I want to thank Mike Thompson, my congressman from California District 5. I want to also thank David Joyce from Ohio. You two gentlemen have been awesome. I have nothing but gratefulness and respect in my heart for the hard work and everything you've had to do to help get this little piece of legislation to move forward. Kyle, anything you can say to the high schoolers?
Stay safe out there.
Yeah, learn science, work hard. Let's keep you protected so you can learn in a safe environment. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.